Alright, so I'm back, and that last video cut off because I reached the hour. So basically, where I left off was, I was just stating a few of the things that I was made to do, while I was in other dimensions of hell. So, like I stated, the raw, diseased flesh with like maggots and disease and rotten flesh, I was made to consume that, and as well as engage in forced sexual behaviors with animals. Now, okay, so we're not talking what I just talked about that was on the confession, and as I stated, when in that moment it felt wrong. You see what I mean? So it's not only when you do wrongdoings, you know what I mean? Because everyone has done things wrong in their life, or things they feel was wrong in their life. So it's like, also what counts with wrongdoings and things like that, it's not always what has been done. It's also what your thought process was in that moment, is also what God pays attention to. Because like I stated, people know, God knows, what your wrongdoings are, everything you've done wrong and right. He knows what you've done right as well. So it's when you're writing your confession, he evaluates you, like I said, are they telling the truth? Are they going to tell the truth? And also, in those moments of your wrongdoings, whatever you may have done, what was your thought process in that moment? What were you thinking? What was your thoughts? What was your intentions in that moment? See, that's why when I talked about, I had wrote about the executions and how those would work a while ago, if any are necessary, which I'm sure there will be some necessary at the appropriate time. But it's like, what I stated was, we're also going to be evaluating the person at fault. We're going to be evaluating their intentions, okay, as well. Not just the deed that was done, but what were their intentions when they did that. You know what I mean? So that is very important. So God takes all that into consideration when you're writing a confession and evaluating your wrongdoings and whatnot. So even before you write the confession, like I said, God knows you're thinking. He knows it's that serious. He knows what you're thinking, you see? So he evaluates, okay, this is what they did. Okay, that's a horrible deed or whatever. Okay, that's not so horrible, or that's horrible, the deed. But he also evaluates, what were your thoughts and your intentions in that moment of doing those deeds, your wrongdoing. So he knows what I was thinking. He knows all my thoughts. And literally, I'm not downsizing or I'm sorry. I'm not I got something else on my mind. I'm not downplaying my wrongdoings. You know what I mean? Because literally, when I'm talking about what I did when I was 11, and I'm also talking about what happened with my cat, I'm literally not downplaying what actually happened. Because many people tell stories, and they've done something, but they kind of tell the story in a way to kind of make themselves seem not as guilty or not as bad. Literally, I'm telling the truth on what my thinking was at the time of these actions, and what I did, obviously, and my thinking as well. So what were the intentions? Now I confess these things because, like I said, they were things in my mind I felt they bothered me. I remembered them. They stuck out in my head as the things that I did in my life. You know what I mean? And before, I had never told anyone about those things until I was in the episodes, because like I said, like when I would be in each and every episode I've ever been in, I was always telling the truth. Like I said, it was the urge to tell the truth about everything. You see, so I had many urges when I was in these episodes. So you see, I had the urge to tell the truth through all these episodes. So, you know, but like I said, like I just don't, again, I want to clear something up. I don't want anyone to think that, oh, well, okay, what happens if she gets in another episode? Is she gonna molest a child? Is she gonna, you know, start having sex with animals? Or what is she gonna do, you know, if she has weird urges while she's in episodes? And so I got to talk about that as well, because that is not an issue at this point, okay? Because all that is in the past, really. The confusion of the episodes and whatnot. This is it. You know, this is it. So all of those episodes, they led up to this moment, you see. So this is why now I'm able to decipher the information so clearly. I'm able to look back on all of these situations and say, oh, okay, that's why that happened. Because literally there's things that has happened to me that I can look back on my childhood and say, oh, okay, I get it now. That's why that happened. Or, oh, you know what I mean? Everything is kind of making sense at this moment. And that began last year. So this is it. This is it. You know, I went through these episodes. Basically, everything was leading me up to this moment, to the actual arrival of this Savior. As I stated, 2017, the year of the arrival of the Savior. So that would be something that goes down, you know, in history's records, you know, the 2017, the year of the arrival. So this is it. This is it. So we don't have to worry about me being in like weird episodes or anything like that, because there won't be any more of those. That was confirmed. Because I was like, hold on, because see, listen, I get these things confirmed before I like speak on it. You see what I mean? I don't just post things. So, you know, that's why some of the things I had to change in the past that I posted were just premature information, that I didn't have all the correct information on that particular thing. So those would be the things I might have changed or altered or edited after I posted it. And I will do that each and every time, because like I said, it's the most important thing with this position is to get the right information out there and ensure the correct information. So that is the most important thing at this moment. So anything that I have no problem saying, okay, you know, I have to change that, or yep, I spoke too soon. See, because that's the most important thing right now, is getting out the correct information, okay? Because we don't want any more confusion about certain things. So that would be happening with the animals and the children. So those things were on my confession. So like I stated, you know, people may have seen that confession and they kind of, you know, just made a lot of wrong assumptions, and they just didn't have all the information before they started doing this. And you know, like I stated, that's just similar to a game we used to play as children. Like, and I'm sure other people played this game before, but I just remember it's like so similar to like what that is. So basically, the game is that one game where you all sit in a circle, and you know, the first person they whisper something in someone's ear, and then you go around the circle whispering, and you're supposed to carry on what the first person said. And literally, by the time whatever was said got back to the first person, it would be something totally different than what they said, and it would be so funny because they would be like, "What? I did not say that. Like, I said nothing that had to do with that." So it's interesting because like we would literally be in the same room, all of us, within a few minutes, whatever was said would be totally screwed around and changed up. So I think that's really what happened. That someone got the information got out there in the wrong way. Because when I was gonna post the confession, I was gonna post it and then explain what was on there, and explain, further like what was going on. Because like really on the confession, I just kind of listed things I did. I didn't really give rationales and explanations to my wrongdoing. So it was kind of just things listed, not listed, but just I was just stating all my wrongdoings. I didn't give like rationales on the confession for the wrongdoing. So I just think some got into the wrong hands of someone, and they literally just ran their mouth, and just a lot of fucked up and horrible rumors began in regards to children, animals, and probably a lot of other things that was on the confession. So I just needed to clear that up. So that's what I needed to do because it was important. So I had to take time. That's actually not something that was on one of the points, but I had to take some time to kind of explain those things specifically because I felt like those were probably the most controversial or most questionable things on the confession. So I had to like take some time to kind of give out the right information on those things. So yeah, like I said, other dimensions of hell, I just was made to do some really, really horrible things. Because there was just different reasons I would have to go back to hell or go back to a certain dimension. Just many different reasons why I would have to do that. Sometimes I was kidnapped. Sometimes I had to sacrifice myself and know what I was going to, for a certain reason. Just like on Gods of Egypt, that's one example of one reason I may have had to go somewhere, some other dimension of hell. Because yeah, she the bracelet, she has the bracelet of 42 stones. That is accurate. That did exist, and that is something I wore that protected me from many things. There were times I didn't have that. So it's just like I just wasn't protected in certain situations. So I would have to go back to that. So it's like they really, other demons and APAP and all that, they really wanted to catch me without the bracelet because it was like, I really didn't have much protection in certain instances without that, and they knew that. So it was horrible. It was horrible, and we're talking some larger animals, they have really huge penises and really huge like private parts. So it's like it was torture. I just remember what happened to me in a lot of some dimensions. So there were times where the animal, their penis was so large that, being raped by something so large, my whole body, my flesh, and we're talking flesh now, my whole flesh would split apart, like split in half, like my whole entire body, because the force of the rape and such a large, a large penis, with the force and the sizes of certain animals, it would split my whole body apart like in half, just in one stroke if they were raping me or something. So I remember that. But, again, the flesh is like, my flesh would be destroyed, but, my spirit wouldn't. So it's like, that's why I remember these things. So my flesh, it would be destroyed, those types of ways many times, but somehow, my flesh would regenerate and I would come back and whatnot. But it was like, that's why I'm able to recall those things, because my spirit was not destroyed in those instances, just the flesh. So I have the images and I have the visions in my head of what happened a lot of times with that, and it was just really horrible, just looking back on a lot of that, because there was sometimes the force of the rapes and the size of whatever I was being raped with would be so much that literally from here up I would just split in half, and they would just throw my body to the side, because they knew I would come back. So it was just horrible. It was horrible. But those were just a couple of things I was forced to do. It's also a lot of the things. As I stated, there was a movie called The Craft that I said watch, about those 4 high school witches. And again, please don't, we're not witches, the 4 corners, the 5 corners. Sorry, we were not witches. Please don't think that, like I stated before. But a lot of the things that was happening in that movie negatively to some of the girls, a couple of the girls, were things that actually occur in dimensions of hell. So you're going to have insects everywhere crawling all over you, you know what I mean? You're going to have just whatever your biggest fear is, they prey on it, and more, same with a lot of my childhood fears, like Freddy Krueger, The Nightmare on Elm Street, The Exorcist. See, I stated those things, like things that happened while I was in the hospital one time, and those are also things that plagued me in other instances. So, like I stated, those were fears, big fears of mine that I developed as a child through watching those movies, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Exorcist. I had developed those fears from a young age. Those fears were big fears of mine, those specific movies, Pet Sematary as well. So it was like, that's what they preyed on. They prey on whatever you're afraid of the most. So that's why I have experience with Freddy Krueger, and I've experienced with that type of thing, because those were my biggest fears. So, Freddy Krueger, as I stated, he's a fictional character. Freddy Krueger, it's a fictional character. It's a movie. But, APEP can create that for you. You know what I mean? Okay, it's fake, it's a movie, but let's create it.